Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Here we are. Here we are. I need to plug in here. Grimmer, can you?
I will. You talk.
Okay. I'm going to plug it in while there's really nobody here. Plug it in, plug it in. Y'all remember that song? From some commercial a while back. I don't really remember it. That's about
right now?
Huh? Yeah, I'm live. I'm live. We are witches withstanding. So, what do you know? Hi, Deb. Oh, I can see names down here now. Well, I saw Deb, but there's nobody up there, but there's people down here. It's weird.
You know what's really funny? I can't see this live stream popping up.
You don't see it?
Nope.
Isn't that odd? Well, Deb, since it seems to just be you and I, because Grim can't even get into this live, I don't understand. Were you in the first part 1 that I was just doing a second ago? Or did you kind of arrive? Brandon is here! Yay! We've been worried about you! Grim's been texting you, right? You reached out to him.
Yeah.
And
I
so
forgot to last night. I did a few days ago.
But we've been worried. We've been worried. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Oh good, Deb. I'm glad to know you were in the other part 1 of this video. It was the strangest thing, but you guys know how weird things happen to Grim and I when we try to do lives.
Oh, you're not in the purple door. That's why.
Oh!
I was looking in the purple door, so I got to share this.
Whoops. Am I on Gussy and Grim?
Yeah.
Oh. Well. That's fine. That actually throws me off a little bit. Grimmer.
I know.
So let's just put up a few extra wards, a few extra levels of protection around us in this liminal space. We had a beautiful discussion going on the other side of the chapel, but even though Grim and I were sitting right next to each other, he for some reason still had Wi-Fi, and I for some reason got kicked off the internet. So I moved to the other side of the church, and here I am, and suddenly my battery is dying very quickly, and it tries to tell me that it has a slow connection, but I'll just keep talking as long as I can. Oh, and before I get into my story, Deb says it went poof. Yes, it did. He says he was at a music festival last weekend, 4 days in a big field. Oh, sounds perfect. Sounds perfect. Sounds like a perfect spot for a little 420.
Our local media isn't covering a lot of what's going on over there right now. But I mean, what I've been looking at online, I got worried, so I'm glad it's here.
Yes, me too. My man. Not you, Brandon. Although I would be, honored. But no, I'm talking about my man Grim. He's standing in front of the window, and you're just my witchy version of an Adonis, baby. That's all.
I'm in love with you.
Oh, perfect. We got a few more folks. Maria Ramirez is here. She says blessings. Hello, Maria, and sending you lots of love, lots of encouragement. She's looking for stable housing in Arizona. So anybody know anything in the Parker area, right? That's the place.
No disclosures on our.
Oh, fart, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Maria. I'm just trying to help. I didn't even think about it. That damn weed. Sometimes. But anyways, yes. Maria, glad you're here. AFOD is here. Are we still today, 8:14? Are you talking about?
Is it now?
Yeah, it is. It is right now. It's live. Brandon got to see Damian Marley. Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. I can't imagine. Oh, Lloyd, hello, wave. Nice to see you. Big hugs. Did I hear you're ill? I think I heard you're ill. I'm sorry if you are. Sending you lots of healing blessings your way. Susan says hi again, take two. Jane Husky is back. Hello, Jane. I'm glad you guys found us. We just had some connectivity problems on my phone, not Grim's, just mine, even though we were sitting right next to each other. So we moved on to the other side of the chapel, and I'm looking at one of those beautiful stained glass windows, and I'm glad you're here.
And your witchy Adonis.
And my witchy Adonis, my Grimmer.
Oh, I see what happened. You don't have your glasses on.
I don't have my glasses on, he says. I still think you handsome. So Lloyd says he's got the Rona. Oh, Lloyd, there must be another, like, I don't know if it ever stopped, like, rolling around, but it feels like there are quite a few folks I know that have it right now again. So, you know, lots of healing sent your way, and to all those folks that need some healing blessings in that way, because it can still be a real dick, that one. You know, that illness is a rough one. Well, and especially right now. I mean, I wanted to tell y'all before we get into our discussion about community a little further, I wanted to tell you all that, like, right now until closer toward the end of August, I want to say like around the 22nd. Don't ask me why. I don't know why astrologically. I don't follow that all that closely, to be completely honest. I have other things I do. But I know that right now, you've heard us say before that, you know, shadows are being brought to light. That's why a lot of us are feeling ill. We're falling ill, or we're feeling just like we don't have the energy, we don't have the compunction to get up and do things, that there's just this drain going on. There's quite a few people that are experiencing lots of migraines and stomach issues, and this is going to continue for at least another week or two, I believe, because this whole Lionsgate portal that occurred on 8/8 really has recharged our mission of manifesting, and we are manifesting what we believe is a better version of the world that we've had in the past.
Our individual heaven on earth.
Our individual heaven on earth. And some of you, I'm not talking about the kind of heaven that you were taught about in Sunday school or church when you were a child. I'm talking about, you know, that nirvana of where you are now. Have you moved into a space that you feel is, you know, where you will be until you're no longer on this earth? Is that your nirvana? Are you still looking for it? We've been talking about that kind of stuff a lot recently, Grim and I, and a lot of the readings that I have done. I still have tried to do some readings, so if you still need me, I'm still out here. Don't hesitate to reach out. But anyhow, yeah. Community. I was just saying on part one of this discussion.
Even the hermits have a purpose in community.
Even the hermits have a purpose in community. And just as I was telling you a story about a woman I knew growing up in a little town in Ohio, I said her name and the video went. So I'm actually not going to say her full name again. I'm just going to tell you that her first name was Mattie, and she was a teacher in the little town that I'm referring to in Ohio, and She was very well liked by her students. As a matter of fact, like her students, when she died, her students put a plaque somewhere in honor of this great teacher that they'd had in their lives. So she was one of those people that obviously touched the lives of the children in the area, right? And nobody really knew much about her socially. She didn't go anywhere. Nobody ever saw her in town. This is after she had retired, I'm saying. Nobody saw her anymore. She became very reclusive, very, very reclusive. She was indeed one of those people that we refer to as crazy cat ladies, you know. I knew her a bit. She was still alive while I was a young woman. And I believe if I could chat with her now, and I have not yet tried, and maybe I should, and maybe I will, I think I shall. She, I believe, was very witchy in her own ways. When they actually went to her home after she had crossed over, she had no relatives, no living relatives. And so the home that she lived in was this tiny little, it looked like maybe a 2-bedroom, 1-bath little home. Maybe not even 2-bedroom, maybe 1 bedroom, quite honestly. Memory, you know, this is a long time. Grim? Sorry. The hell?
Interruptus maximus.
Yeah. Anywho, interruptus maximus, that is you, sir. Anyways, Maddie was living in, once they took off the what's that stuff on the outside, the aluminum siding, they took that off of the old home and they found a log cabin underneath. And I know that is not all that uncommon. I have seen, like even here where the old church is located, there is a log cabin that they found somewhere after someone passed away, and they moved it onto the Historical Society's property. I know that's kind of a cool story, but the part about her was that everybody kind of looked out for her. And that was my point about, even if you're a hermit in a small community, whether that is a small community online or it's a small community where you live, when you're absent, your absence is also noted by some folks. It does affect the community because people grow concerned and they worry. And then, it just affects the flow. Now, I don't mean to say feel bad now. I'm giving you another layer of guilt if you like to spend winters alone or whatever. I'm not trying to do that to you. I tend to be a bit of a hermit myself. I do, once in a while. That's what these last few months have kind of been about. I haven't been out much. I haven't been doing a lot. But it does affect.
There's a difference, though, between hermit and agoraphobic or even a recluse.
Can you folks hear him okay? Grim just said something. Give me a thumbs up if you heard him, because I won't know.
Repeat it, though, if you want to.
No, you repeat it, but more loud.
There's a difference between being a hermit and somebody who's agoraphobic. And there's also a difference between being a hermit and being a recluse. It's part of what your inner self is that defines the differences.
Ooh, that's some mighty fine instant coffee, Grim.
Oh. That wasn't your tea?
It was not my tea. Okay, let me look around here, because you're obviously having a conversation about something.
No, I felt somebody bristle about the term hermit.
Okay. Oh, somebody bristled? Okay. Lloyd's feeling better. Not just because of our conversation, y'all. I'm not saying that. Yes, it was a miracle. Suddenly Lloyd just jumped up from his sofa he's miles better now. No, he's feeling better. He's just staying home for the allotted time before he can go back to work, before he can get other people sick. So I'm glad you're feeling better, Lloyd. Still take the healing energy we're all sending you, because, a little bit of love never hurts anybody. All right, Alicia says she's got hot flashes, perimenopause. Oh, boy. Oh, that's the worst. I hated that stage. I still, once in a while, will get a hot flash in the night. And, it's just like you can't take off enough layers. I mean, it just, whew, it's like an inner combustion oven going on. Michelle's back. Hello, hello. Shadow people are way more visible, says AFOD. I don't know what that was about. Something we must have said. And now my phone bounced around. And Brandon says, I joined Hermits United. No meetings yet. Jennifer Spence is here. Hey, Jen. Nice to see you. It's nice to know that people care about you. It is, Susan. It is really nice to know. Recluse, sorta. I can't hear him. So Michelle couldn't hear you, Grimmer, but a couple other people could. Emily says she's all three. Kimmy King is back. Maria says she's agoraphobic, but tries to get out, even if it's just sitting on the porch. I agree. I think that is important to be out and be seen, so people still know you're alive, and not, God only knows. I mean, in today's society, who do we know anymore? Our neighbors? A lot of us don't even know our neighbors anymore. As a matter of fact, Grim and I have lived here at the old church for a year, coming up next month, and he's met more of the neighbors than I have, because he's outside much more frequently than me. But even so, he hasn't met that many. It's just not like it was, I don't know, I'm going to sound really old here. When I was a kid, it just seemed like people knew each other more. Even neighbors in cities seem to know each other more. I don't know. Speak up if you live in a city. I know Susan lives in a big city. Those of you that do, have you had the same experience? It just feels like we've had some disconnect. We've been told and taught not to trust one another really anymore, because, you never know who's a serial killer. You never know who's carrying a gun. You never know who's got some, ill intention behind the mask. And it's just a really frightening world in that way for a lot of folks. It's hard to trust. It really is. And Grim and I have had experiences recently, and I know some of you have been following on the Purple Door a little bit about some of the drama that kind of erupted a few nights ago, when someone from our local community had an issue with Grim and I, particularly me, I believe, and it escalated very quickly into some really nasty online comments. And a lot of you, bless your hearts, Grim kept that line of communication open because we know this fellow, and we were really surprised that he lashed out like this. And so we wanted, Grim especially, wanted to make sure that he was going to be okay, and that, we didn't want to just block the dude and walk away. That's not who we are. So I blocked him so that he could not harass me in particular. But Grim, you know Grim, he was ready. But those of you in the Divination Guild that participated in those comments there, we were so proud of you, because the comments, for the most part, were integral and were not meant to harm or hurt. Just, go. Just kind of, we wish you well. We hope we see your pain. We understand. And you guys were great about that. And that's...
Even in the process of telling him that he was being poorly behaved.
Right. the group kind of told him that he was being poorly behaved and that, he should kind of go get himself under control, sleep it off or snack it off or something, but, chill the fuck out. Just a little. But I don't know where he's at today, and that's fine.
But though he was a member of our local spiritual community that we're building here.
You should come over here, babe. I mean, literally. Let's move these pews.
And this is where I think the seed of the topic of today's 420 really is stemming from.
Oh, look, they can see you.
Ooh, hi.
There.
I think the seed of it comes down to this. He is a member of our local spiritual community that we're building here at the old church. A community that we know is going to grow to speak for a larger and larger growing number of people in this region. And it got us to thinking, those that we allow into our community, their inner selves become the culture of our community. And as much as we love and appreciate and respect who he is as a person and what we can see in him as his potential, because he has shown us that in the past.
Oh, and he's funny when he's got his, himself together. He's funny. Funny guy.
Though we have seen, he showed us also a side of himself that can become destructive to a community. That vile darkness that some people hold in their heart, in their deepest, darkest shadows. The way they express those hurts and pains become part of who they are in that community. And if toxicity is chosen and accepted for the sake of community, it becomes a toxic environment for all.
You know what, though, crosses my mind, Grimmer?
Mm-hmm.
For the last couple of days, now that I've kind of stepped back from that, my initial response was, I was quite angry.
Yes.
With everything, with him. But since then, I've really stepped back, and it makes me think about our brother Siege. Siege is a member of our Purple Door community. Although some of you that are here, especially if you're new, Siege hasn't been around very much. He lives in another state, Washington State, and he visits Brazil once or twice a year because he has a family down there as well. He met a Purple Door witch, and they fell in love online, and the rest is history. But Siege is one of the first members of our Covened Up, and one of the things that he used to do, I know he told me he doesn't do it anymore, but very much, I think. One of the things he would do, and Grim and I would notice this pattern, is if there would be a new woman coming into his life, if he was going to go meet her friends or meet her family, he would get all shaved up and looking good, and then he would put on a loincloth. And he also had a black leather vest that he wore because he rode a motorcycle, which he calls the Mistress. But, he'd put on his vest and he'd go to whoever he was going to meet in a loincloth. And I remember the first time they're older in their 20s now, but our kids in their early 20s came to visit. We were living in Washington State. They came to visit and they met Siege for the first time, and there he is. Well, the first time he said hi. They were not expecting the next time they saw him that he'd be lounging on our sofa watching a movie in a loincloth. And it always makes me giggle because I don't think he consciously did it for this reason. But Grim and I have spoken, and it was like there was a part of him that wanted to be just kind of on the edge of inappropriate, what would society consider appropriate, to see what people's reactions to him were. He wanted to get it out of the way right away.
This is who I am.
This is who I am, and do you accept me the way I am? And because honestly, he does like to wear a loincloth. I mean, truly. When he goes out in public, most of the time he wears jeans and such because he's a contractor. Right, but if he's in the, especially if he's at a circle, you can damn well bet that man is wearing, or a kilt or a loincloth. But either way, the loincloth was his shock value one. He doesn't do that as much anymore. And so my mind's been thinking about this man who, you know, was terribly inappropriate and then like abusive about it. I think he's kind of really, he's either really trying to push everybody away and he's in a really fragile spot and he just wants to prove that everybody hates him anyways and nobody's really on his team. It's like you push people away if you have an abandonment issue. You do things purposely to set folks up so that they leave you and then you don't have to get hurt by them because you've already taken care of the situation, you see. So there's a part of me that sees that, you know, I'm sure if he was listening to this, he'd say, fuck you, Gussy. But that's just what I'm feeling. Thoughts?
Yes, I do want to throw one thing in there. We know perfectly well that this particular individual may eventually stumble across this live stream. The moment he became a topic of conversation in a public way in our group, we knew that it had to be dealt with as privately as possible. But still, we want to put another message out there to him. That the door is always, always open. It's up to you to prove the changes that were needed to be included in the community that we're trying to build. A community that will value you in your truest form of who you are. Shadows and all. But it's how those shadows are expressed that counts.
I want to point out that he is the one that actually closed the door. And so we honor that. And it makes sense now to me why, you know, before in part one of this video, I picked up my deck to pull a card and one card stuck to the table. And so I'm like, well, I guess that's our jumper card for today. What is it? And it was Six of Wands in the reverse position. That was the first discussion. We were talking about community and like lifting each other up and holding each other up, filling each other's cups when needed. You know, sometimes we run out of a little energy, or you do. Sometimes we need to help each other out a little bit. And that's what being part of community is. But as I walked over here to switch sides of the chapel because my phone lost its Wi-Fi connection, another card stuck to the table over here. I'm like, isn't that interesting? So I turn it over and it is the Judgment card in the reverse position. And in this case, what this means, it's exactly kind of what Brandon, I think, is saying down here. Let me get to where he's saying. He says, sometimes you kind of have to call people out to help them. Hopefully this guy will see this and see how much you care and ask for help. And that's the point in this Judgment card. It isn't about making or pointing a finger at somebody and saying, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Grim and I don't feel that way. We don't feel that you're wrong. We feel that you are deeply hurt and needing people around you. And in some ways, when I told you I wouldn't take you on as a student, and I didn't do it politely, but you were kind of being very inappropriate with me with your language, thinking it was funny, and it wasn't so funny. And I tried to tell you that, and you didn't really listen because you weren't in a state to listen. And I get that. I've been in that state before myself. We're not, when you said you weren't going to involve yourself anymore, it could have just been left at that. the door is open. You got to knock. You can't just come walking back in. But we didn't close the door in response because we've given up on you. We know the people who are your friends and we think highly of them. And we must know that they see a side of you that the rest of us haven't yet really had a chance to see. So, whatever you need to heal, you know, good blessings to you. Good blessings to you. And we're grateful for that opportunity to address this situation.
Yes, because it was a situation that I could have really gotten snarly. And I entered into that not even feeling the need to be snarly. For the first time in my spiritual growth, I didn't have to resist before I acted in an integral way. I just flowed into it, and we were only halfway through the day before I realized I'm not mad. I'm not a
You were not. I was surprised.
Me too, after I realized it. But on the other side of it, it really truly highlighted the
werewolf.
It really truly highlighted the culture of the community that we have grown around us, because the people that also interacted with him in that group, in the Divination Guild, did so with love and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And they did judge him for his behavior, but they didn't judge him and cast him aside. And
No.
I am so proud of that, grateful for it, because it eased the load on Gussy and I.
Right. And also, for those of you that were there and part of that, and a lot of you are here now, I think, thank you for, you know, standing by us, because you know who we are. Today we tried to do a couple of fancy things, like we started doing live streams in the chapel. You could see how well that went over the first time. But we're just trying to do things a little bit different, and but we are not fancy folks, and we don't live very, you know,
Financially fruitful.
we don't live a huge lifestyle. We do not. We keep things simple, like we asked for a bunch of years ago, right, Grim?
Yep. But now that we're learning what simple truly means to us anyway, and energetically speaking to, I think, a lot of people, it's beneficial to our spiritual well-being.
I agree. I agree. If I had a lot of, when I've had a lot of surplus in my life, you know, I was very unhappy at that time. There were just, I was like kind of surrounding myself with things that really tried to fill a void.
Yeah.
And really,
Ouch. You're right.
I know, right? That's what our consumerism is a lot
So
about.
that must mean that Joel Osteen is terribly unhappy.
Why do you say that? Because he has so much money?
What void is he filling every time he buys a jet? What
Oh, does he buy?
internal-
I don't know what he's like as a spender. I don't know.
He's got his mega church millions and his
Oh.
private jets and multiple mansions and
Oh.
his limousines and
I'll
he
see.
lives that lifestyle. So when you said that, I'm like, oh shit, you're right. Consumerism has been psychologically proven to be a tool to fill an internal void.
Right,
And then when does he have time to be spiritual?
right.
But that's all beside the point.
You know, kind of a little tag along here. I've been working a lot on my energy surrounding my relationship with my mother for a while, but it really kind of intensified this last few weeks. And what were you just talking about?
Joel Osteen's consumerism must be filling a void.
Filling a void. Oh yes. When my folks died a long time ago now, 1986, I had inherited quite a few things. Like one thing in particular that comes up in my mind a lot was my mother's, she had this beautiful oak table that they were given as a wedding gift when they were married. So it was from like the 1930s, and she was just so proud of that table. So I lugged that thing around, plus a whole lot of other things that were my mother's things and my father's things. Didn't have a lot beyond that because for some reason, maybe it was because my mother was the youngest, there wasn't a lot of family heirlooms that trickled down. So my mom sort of made a few things. I did receive my aunt's ring. But my point is, I carted these things around for a number of years, decade at least. And then one day, something shifted in my life, and I suddenly no longer needed to worry about all those boxes of things that belonged to my parents and myself. And at first, I really mourned the loss of this object or that painting or things that I really and truly treasured in my life.
You still do.
And I still do. I still get a little twang of pain once in a while if I allow myself to kind of, but like I don't need to live there and worry about it, because my logical or maybe my higher self and I have worked through this, and we both know that when we cross over, we don't take any of this with us anyway. And really, when I'm lugging around a whole bunch of junk, and I'm sorry, Mama, that table was beautiful, but it was not my style. And, well, a little bit it was, or I wouldn't have taken it. But okay, I'm saying I didn't need to haul all these memories around, because really, what was I doing with all of those? Was I really going to sit down one day and get that box out and look through it? What are the chances that that box wasn't going to just become a box on the shelf that my kids have to someday deal with, right? It kind of flows along with memory. And a lot of us have struggled with memory over these last few years. This ascension process has not been a simple one. And when we start to feel like our memory is a little bit shaky, we kind of feel frantic at first, afraid to say anything to people, and then, it improves. The brain fog lifts. Whether you have ADHD, some type of a brain injury indeed, or you have, just foggy brain from fibro, whatever the reason that you sometimes go through those. And why I'm talking about this, Grim, I don't know. So anytime you want to jump in, just jump on in. So I'm just going to go and hope that Spirit sort of guides me on this one, you lovely souls. Let's see. I don't know why we're talking about this, but,
Don't.
Hold on to the memories. But I think I was holding on to that stuff because I was afraid I would forget about them. But what I've learned over the last, 10 years in particular, as I've been going through my ascension process and learning to let go of things and shift my perspective and all the things that we've talked about over the course of the last several years, I find myself, when you need the memory, it will come back. You don't need to wait for a box to open to jar that memory. You don't have to worry that you've lost them forever. They're still there. They're still there.
Is this outside of dementia, Alzheimer's, and
right? I'm
cognitive?
talking exactly, Grim.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I mean, we're not addressing. Well, actually, no. I mean, even within Alzheimer's and dementia and other, cognitive issues like that, where there's like heavy brain damage or whatnot, I believe that our memories are kind of stored. I know that doctors say they're stored in certain parts of the brain, and I believe that is true. And I believe that when there's damage or decay or just, aging, I believe that can get altered in a negative way. But I believe a lot of our memories are stored Akashically. I point upward just because I kind of think about it, when they introduced the cloud whenever that was, like 2007 or something like that. No, it was later than that. Anyways, I don't know. That's something we should know, isn't it? We were here for it. It's kind of like that for me. I think about the Akashic records like the cloud of spirituality.
And I think that's a reason that frequency musics can a lot of times show positive results in bringing people in dementia or Alzheimer's back to cognitive for a moment, at least. They can recall memories easier. They can.
Music is a wonderful language
Yes.
for the brain to interpret. Yes.
It unlocks memories. But music is frequency, and frequency is the voice, the song of the universe. It's the vibration of God, the vibration of us. And that's why it's stored. How'd you do that?
What? How'd I do what?
That's why it's stored up there.
Oh. Yeah, I want to read a few comments, and then I have a little tiny story to tell.
Okay.
And then I think we're finished, right?
All right.
Okay. Let me see here. I want to read some of these comments because I'm looking through. First of all, Catherine Suzanne Rice says, hello from Lyon. She's in France. I think she had a grandbaby born, and she's over there for a while in Lyon, France, spending time with that grandbaby. I hope things are going well. Oh, I gave away another city, but she said Lyon first, so okay. But it could have been anywhere. Gussy, you got to do better than that next time. That must have been talking about Joel Osteen. Something I never thought I'd say in my live stream during 420. Deb Kirkland's thinking about stuff that she's been given from other people. Kat Petrozada says, all you need is your memories. And that's true. Don't worry that they're failing you sometimes. They'll come back when you need them. Michelle Kleckler-Cap says, I think holding on to their belongings is like a physical memory of them in a sense. It is, and I'm not saying get rid of those things that are special, you know. When I run across something of my mom's, and I don't have a lot of things of hers anymore, but when I do a picture of her or something, oh, I cherish that, you know. But I mean, I was lugging around a lot of things, and each one of those boxes kind of represented a shadow in some way, you know. I was carrying them around, and painful memories I was afraid to let go. Aphod says, definitely memories restored, locked in the brain. Music can unlock it. Yes, indeed. Frequencies for sure. Memories are in the head and heart. Physical things can weigh one down. We need to clear out to get rid of stagnant energy and make more for good. Yep, new things, blessings to come into our lives. Indeed, Susan. Melody and lyrics, says Alicia. Absolutely. Thank you. I'm going to have a garage sale and let a lot of things go for somebody else to enjoy. Did you read the SK book Dreamcatcher? I like the way he presented this guy's mind as an addict in the cabinet. No, I have not. Would you send me details in a text so I can look into that book? That sounds great.
Because that's how I picture my mind.
Yeah, Grim he calls it his codex. He's like little file cabinets. I love that. Emily says, music does it, yes, but so do certain scents. Indeed, my grandma always described the smell of fresh grass and oranges as how her childhood home smelled. Yeah, I remember my aunt's house always had this very rosy, like powder, you know, like powder that women used to wear. Well, some still do. But this aunt of mine wore rose-scented powder, body powder, and her whole kitchen and bathroom area smelled like that, and it just sort of drifted through the house. Takes you right back sometimes, those sensory moments. Let's see. Photos can also be taken of those objects. Indeed, Susan, you're right. Take a picture and then let the object go, especially if you don't have a lot of room, or if you do like we did, we downsized. We moved from Washington State to Michigan in a schoolie, so we had to let a lot of things go. I wish I'd thought about doing that before we left, because there were a couple of things that I really didn't have room for. Am I going on too long?
No, but think of the hundreds of live streams we did in that house. we have pictures.
You're right. You're right. We probably do. We probably do. Let's see. Somebody's saying that's a fantastic book. Smells will do it. Yep. Nose memories. I love that. So my little story right before we close for the night, and thank you all for staying here as long as you have. I'm reading a book. Yes, I'm reading a book. One less little 420 puff there. I'm reading a book, and the big deal about that is I'm reading a book because it took me a few years to get back to be able to like focus long enough. I would read the paragraphs and then I couldn't even remember what I had just read. So I had to read it again and it would float away. I really want to start a book club in the Lore Guild on the Purple Door. And I've been having this like goal for a long time, as have a few other guild leaders that are involved with it. And we started one, I read one night out loud. I read a book out loud. I was going to read out loud to see how that goes. And then I pulled back and I thought, Gussie, what the hell are you doing? You can't even read a book all the way through from cover to cover and remember what the hell was in the middle. So I made it a goal for myself while I have been taking time off. I've read a few books from cover to cover, and the one I happen to be reading now, it's kind of fun. It's nostalgic to me because I read it way back in like 1998, the first time, I believe. It's a book by Barbara Hambly called Dragon's Bane. And I don't know if you've heard of that author or not. It happens to be Christine, my sister's favorite, one of her favorite authors. She has a few. But she writes fantasy, and she has a real knack for describing things, especially magical things. It's like she has the knowledge. I don't know anything about her personally to know what her background is, but I know she's tapping into something. And and this book is just really, it's wonderful. But the thing I wanted to tell you about is there is a dragon in the book. And some of you are really into dragons, and I know it, and I wanted to share. You know, a lot of times when we hear stories, legends, stories about dragons, a lot of times it involves caves and gold, piles of gold, the dragon's hoard, right? So we were talking about hoarding things kind of in boxes. Well, why do dragons hoard gold? That comes up in this book, and it made me think of our beautiful musician, even though I can't say it, musician guild. Aphod and Alicia are both part of that, and a few others of you that might be watching right now. But we talk a lot about vibrational frequency, and Aphod is into sound bath healing, and we're all a little bit into drumming, and so this topic comes up from time to time. The reason Barbara Hambly presents, and I'm sure it's not just her. To me, when I read this, I was like, oh, this resonates to me. The reason why dragons hoard gold, according to Morkaleb the Black in Dragon's Bane by Barbara Hambly, is because the frequency of gold is like music to their ears. The vibrational frequency adds to the frequency of the dragon and like amplifies it, if that makes sense. And I was like, oh, I love that, because you know, everything is at a certain frequency. And when we think about the whole alchemy thing, I don't want to get on that topic because then we'll be here for another hour. But when we talk about transmuting, right? Transmutation, gold. I'm just going to leave that. I guess I'm going to just leave that. What do you think, Grim? You weren't even listening.
I was too. Because I have never read.
I thought you were sleeping.
No, I have never read that book. I'm going to have to now. But just by the way you described her ability to paint such a beautiful scene.
Oh, you will really like this book.
But I don't know where it came. I just had a different idea of why the dragon hoarded. I anticipated where you were going, and I was completely off base.
Okay, what did you think? What do you think?
Money is the root of all evil, and gold is an expression of wealth. The dragon is getting goddamn sick and tired of mankind using money to commit such atrocities against the magic of the land. So he's going to hoard every last dime of it to prevent its use against corruption. That's honestly where I thought it was going to go.
That's grim. I personally like my version better. Barbara's version. What do you guys
But
think?
no, you can tie the two together, because why does man want the gold? Why does man want to hoard it to themselves? Because it does change their frequency. It changes the frequency of power and their expression of power. The dragon uses it for the same reason, to absorb the frequency, the energy, but how does the dragon choose to express that power? That is the wealth issue today. Wealth is not the issue.
Uh-oh. Slow connection. You better change your topic.
Ooh, I need 10-minute grim talks.
You do. Gold as a battery, says Alicia. Yes, yes, yes. That is exactly right. And just like that, Grim gives justification to the pro-dragon people. Gigi says she loves the idea of the vibration. Hi, Gigi Hall. Love to see you here. Yeah, I do too. You know, gold does change people. When you think about a lot of our lore and legend about it, and gee, I didn't think this conversation was going to go this direction today, but you know, like King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold. Who was the dude that was spinning things into gold?
Rumpelstiltskin.
Was that Rumpelstiltskin?
I think so.
So there's just a lot of gold lore, and it always has to do with
In every culture.
prosperity and greed
Yeah.
of some sort, right?
In every culture.
The
that
goose
I can
with the
think
golden
of,
egg.
gold played a role in their culture. Be it used as an expression of wealth or light.
Hey, you. For those of you science geeks or former science geeks, how many of you remember the symbol on the, I can't think, the periodic table of the elements? What's the symbol for gold? Do you remember? Think, think, think. And how many of you love to wear gold? How many of you love to wear silver? I'm a silver gal myself. If I'm going to wear a metal, it's usually copper. I love copper, or silver. I don't really vibe with gold for some reason.
Because it's so far from air. It's
That might be true. That very well might be true. Oh, they're saying, Aphod says AU. AU says Gigi. Jennifer says she's a silver. Catherine, Suzanne Rice prefers silver. AU says Emily. She wears all metals, and she's pretty sure she's actually a dragon. That makes some sense.
Who said that?
Emily. Emily Fun.
Oh, I can see that.
Oh, and she also, yeah, and you know, it's interesting that dragon energy and werewolf energy is not too dissimilar in many cases, is it?
No, but they serve two different functions. If you try and put a dragon into a werewolf's role, or vice versa, you can get some spiritual confusion within the participant.
True. Dragons of Pern? Is that the series? I don't know the name of the author. Wait, I remember the author. Well, I'm sure you'll let us know. I don't know why that came through my head. Okay. Aphod said she's usually white gold or silver. Oh, I love white gold. Now, white gold is a different story altogether. And I also love Black Hills gold, that kind of rosy color gold. Symbol is AU. Yes, thank you. Rose gold is Alicia's favorite. And Susan says it's always good to hear different sides of things. It makes one think, and sometimes one hears thoughts they haven't come up with before. Yes, yes, yes. There's a cool song by Elvin Drums called The Dragon. Ooh. there is a song that I'd like to share since we're talking about dragons. A few years ago, someone from our coven back in Washington said, Gussy, 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 I heard the song and I thought of you, and have you heard the song yet? And I said, no, I've not heard this song yet, although I love the artist who had written it. And we listened to the song, and it was very fitting. It's called The House of Mama Dragon by S.J. Tucker. And go check that song out because it's
a good one.
It's a good one. Yes, it is. Come on in and sit right down. Okay, white gold and rose gold. Susan says, Puff the Magic Dragon. Fun fact, there's actually alloys to create 25 different colors of gold. Most are industrial grade and can't be used in jewelry. Did you mention that in the article that you wrote for the Purple Door Easing last year sometime? You must have done something, because I remember reading that before and I found that just fascinating, because I have noticed now that there seem to be all sorts of different shades of gold that I don't think were the shades that I remember growing up. It's like they poofed, they expanded. Silver, please, says Vicky Hagan. Yes, indeed. Well, I think that I must just tell you how much I love you. I must tell you that Grim loves you, even though he's laying back here on the and it's been so great just hanging out for a while and chatting. So check out some of those songs, read a few of those books. Looks like we're going to be working with some dragon energy for a while. That sounds great to me. I hope you all have a blessed evening. I hope you remember to pause for peace at 9 p.m. because that's super important. Lots of folks are doing it now, and we're even kind of seeing it a little bit out beyond our community. Also, our hashtag withstanding is starting to take some momentum, and the whole wise words thing that we started a while ago is really booming. So, I sound like a creepy online person, but it is good to know that our community is out there and things are moving forward, things are flowing. We love you all. I hope you all have a blessed evening. Stay magical.
Stay magical.